Today I want y'all niggas to check out that new Nipsey Hussle Victory Lap album. That shit go hard than a motherfucker. And while you at it, check out Sugar Free, Smell My Finger, and Mossberg, Non-Fiction. Them's all good West Coast albums to ride to, you know, bump while you going to work or whatever, you know, chilling on a Sunday.
Good morning, my loves. Good morning. How you doing?
Let's start with love. Let's start with love.
Baby. Good morning. I'm wonderful. I am wonderful.
So Monique came through to the Breakfast Club acting all cordial, you know, like most black folks that believe in God do. Nice and passive aggressive.
How you doing, Sister Angela? You good? It's all right to get on up and hold on to me. Good morning, sweetness.
See, there it go right there. I'm pretty sure Angela Yee know that it's all right to get up and hug you.
And then I found out that I had become Donkey of the Day.
Yes.
By Leonard. And I got to call you by your name, baby, because...
Leonard.
Leonard. Yes. Okay. Okay, baby. He's getting real special, Leonard. But we're going to... Okay,
no,
Leonard.
It is Leonard.
And then
I think it was his parents that was getting a little special with the name.
I was called Donkey of the Day, and it really caught me off guard.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be funny to me how motherfuckers put shit on the internet and then be all shocked and surprised at the reaction that happened. Nigga, you not shocked. You not surprised. You wanted this reaction to happen.
I met him in an elevator at Turner Station. And I met a young man that was full of humility and respect.
Mm-hmm.
He full of humility and respect right now. The only difference is you don't want to hear nobody critiquing your ass. That's your problem, Monique.
So my husband and I wanted to come on so we could understand how I got titled Donkey of the Day.
So why?
I mean, come on, my nigga. First, you falsely accused Oprah, Lee Daniels, and Tyler Perry for blackballing you, and they not really fucking with the industry like that right now. Then you falsely accused Netflix. Now you falsely accusing Charlamagne. Come on, my nigga. I mean, at some point, you got to take accountability for yourself and the fact that you ain't been doing comedy, my nigga.
I wanted to know, why did you feel like, you know, you should have gotten whatever Chris Rock got, whatever Dave Chappelle got, or whatever Amy Schumer got?
Which, even though Monique never actually said that, she actually implied it by fucking mentioning those people's names.
And then, Charlamagne, you brought up an old Netflix special as well.
But that was later on.
Now, what Angela Yee's messy ass is talking about right there is that Monique already had a special on Netflix. So, obviously, Netflix kind of went by that to determine if she had any kind of following or not.
But my point was, like, this is the what are you doing for me right now kind of industry. We all know Monique is a legend, but we also know that those deals that Netflix are giving out are based off recent stand-up shows, recent concert, recent arenas, recent tours like that. So I just wanted to know why you felt like you deserved that much.
The key word in that whole situation is recent. What have you recently been doing in regards to stand-up comedy? That's what determines how much money you're going to get from them.
And finally sent over. Initially, they didn't want to have the conversation until I expressed to them, it is very ironic that the call we had was disconnected. We never reconvened. You became evasive. You can't get on the phone. Now I have to express what it's feeling like, which is gender bias, color bias, and there's also an age issue that we didn't discuss that's in there as well. So
to me, it sounds like they offered them niggas some money. Them niggas had some problems with the amount of money that was offered, so Netflix was just like, all right, cool. And these niggas trying to call, get on the phone with them, and Netflix like, shit, we don't want to talk no more, my nigga. We offered you some money, y'all didn't want it. Keep on pushing. Go fuck with Hulu or something and see if they'll throw you some dough. And then what a lot of niggas do on a last-ditch effort is they try to pull that motherfucking race card. But in this case, these niggas using a gender card and an age card, which I don't get at all. Are you trying to say that an older comedian should be able to get more money than a younger comedian, no matter how much comedy that actual comedian is doing at the time? I don't get that shit, my nigga.
Now, we just wanted to know, why did it work for Amy, but it doesn't work for her? Because what she just did in terms of what Monique's body of work contends with or resulted in, it's all part of the resume, just like Amy Schumer's resume. So why does Amy's resume work and Monique does not? And they could not explain that.
Well, if you just
See, this nigga just trying to use a whole bunch of fancy words to try to compare Amy Schumer to Monique, when in this situation, there is no comparison. Amy Schumer is an active stand-up comedian who's doing tours, arenas, and clubs on a consistent basis all around the world. Monique is barely doing small clubs. There's a big difference in that shit. So when you talk about the movies, that's acting. That's not stand-up comedy. In the context of this whole situation, we're talking about a deal she was offered to do stand-up comedy, not to act. Amy Schumer got that big payday for stand-up comedy based on her fan base that she's accrued over the years. Now, Monique, you only doing small comedy clubs, so why the fuck would Netflix pay you millions of dollars? You not doing arenas. You not doing big venues and selling out on a consistent basis, going on world tours. Build your fan base back up, then you'll have the ability to do that. But right now, hell no.
Monique is a legend, correct?
Absolutely.
And you believe that Chris Rock is a legend, as I do as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you would say Dave Chappelle is a legend, right?
absolutely.
What makes me a different legend from Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock?
The difference is they doing shows on a consistent basis and selling out shit while you doing movies. There's a big ass difference. Cause now you trying to jump back into stand-up comedy. But my nigga, you gotta have a fan base for that shit.
I'm the most decorated comedian alive. And I said that humbly.
Yeah, as humbly as you want to say it, you forgetting to mention the fact that a majority of your decorations and awards come from acting, not from stand-up comedy.
And then some people said, oh, Monique is crazy, till it was proven. Till everybody actually saw the numbers and said, well, I guess she's right about that.
And when she talk about decorated, she talking about awards. She done won 57 awards. But she also doesn't realize, though, that those awards were not given to you by the people. Those awards were given to you by the corporations. And the corporations are dying. The people are the ones choosing the content now. You got to realize that. You can't be an old nigga in a new world, my nigga.
And when you say this is a what have you done for me lately, the question is, how much more do I have to do, brother?
A whole lot more, my nigga. You got to keep on pushing. You got to keep on building your fan base, keep on touring, keep on writing new material, and keep on going on that motherfucking road. That's just how it is. Or you can try to open up a podcast or something and do some local shit. That's the only way it's rocking now.
We can't. Amy did her Netflix deal before Snatch.
Well,
No.
we actually talked to the vice president of Netflix, Leonard.
Right.
And
So
what
my
happens
point-
is when you're basing off of what you're assuming, and then you give me a title of Donkey of the Day. Is your mother still alive?
Yes, ma'am.
And you
Yeah, you talked to him, but like y'all said, them niggas didn't even want to answer the phone after they talked to you the first time. So obviously he didn't tell you that information. And obviously Charlamagne got more connections in the business right now than you do, Monique. Come on, my nigga. So obviously he's not assuming. And what the fuck does his mama got to do with it?
And if I was to call your mother or your grandmother, could they tell me stories of inequality that they had to deal with?
Absolutely.
So would your mother be a donkey?
No.
Would your grandmother be a donkey?
No.
I need you to explain how you gave me the title because you're not explaining it. You're going off of what I assume. But
It's already been proven that Charlamagne is telling the truth about the Amy Schumer situation. Monique just trying to basically guilt him into feeling bad for saying what he said about her. But actually what he said was, in his opinion, which he's allowed to express through his platform, is actually true.
because you're on that microphone, and when we open up these microphones, we know just how powerful our voices can be, don't we, Angela?
Yes, we do.
And we know that what we say can become law. Correct, Leonard?
Absolutely.
So when we do that, we must then explain it to our community because we know how poisonous it can be when we put things out, but we can't back it up. We just say it.
I think that there is.
He keep explaining the shit. He just not giving you the answer that you want to hear. So you keep having him repeat the same question over and over and over again. He's done explaining. I mean, goddamn, what more of an explanation of his opinion do you need?
Like, can you honestly?
What we ask you is this: can you say, if it's an individual problem, how come that there are no individuals of color who happen to be female comedians that have had the multiple $million-dollar paydays with Netflix?
I got two easy reasons why. It's because most female comedians ain't funny, and it's because women don't support other women. Look at the WNBA. It has never turned a fucking profit. That's because women don't support it. I mean, look at it. Women are half of the country. So if you're a popular female comedian like Amy Schumer, who has a large base and is constantly going and touring, when she drops projects and movies and Netflix specials, people are going to watch it. Unless it's not funny, and then they're not going to watch it. Simple.
I think this is specific to comedians because I do know they've given out multi-million-dollar deals to Ava DuVernay, Shonda Rhimes. So you think it's specific to the comedy industry?
Well, I'll let you answer it. What black female comedian got the multi-million-dollar deal?
None, because in this latest era of Netflix dominating the comedy world, it haven't been no black females out here that's a top draw. I mean, you got females like Tiffany Haddish, but she's an up-and-coming, just becoming popular, getting a movie, doing shit like that, late-night talk shows and podcasts and things of that nature. Yeah, she's starting to pop. She might end up with a multi-million-dollar Netflix special. But in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years, what black female comedian has been popping? It ain't been none, my nigga. I mean, you got Vonda Carlo and Yamanika Saunders and females like that, but don't bring up Wanda Sykes' name, because Wanda Sykes ain't been popping like that lately.
But we got to speak about the sisters that's done it. Mm-hmm. See, when Wanda Sykes is number 100 on Comedy Central's top comedians ever.
Number 70.
I'm sorry, Daddy, number 70 on the top 100 ever.
Maybe Netflix doesn't use the same metric as Comedy Central, and they might not use Comedy Central as a good metric because Comedy Central is fucking dying like everything else on cable is.
But they offer her $250. So what do you say to that, Lenore?
Well, I actually asked about that. I spoke to somebody at Netflix, and they offered that deal to Wanda Sykes before this guy that does these stand-up deals even got in the position. They offered this deal to her some years ago.
He talked to a Netflix official, so let's see if she accepts that answer as the truth.
Does it seem strange that you always have an answer when our finish line keeps getting moved?
Maybe he always has an answer because he's well informed. And what the fuck you talking about the finish line keep getting moved? See, you want to win. You don't want to have an honest conversation. You want to sit here and win.
When our finish line keeps getting moved?
When our finish line keeps getting moved. When I say name me one black female comedian that's got the $1 million payday, I'm waiting to hear the answer.
Right.
There are none. And a real big reason is because most black female comedians are monolithic. Actually, a lot of black male comedians are monolithic too. They keep the same material for years and years and years. They use physical humor, which is really starting to get hacky, especially for black dudes. Unless you have funny content to go with that physical humor, it really just becomes monotonous, my nigga. And to think of it just as far as black female comedians go, you don't really see a lot of them with thought-provoking humor or ones that make you sit there and have to think. You know, you don't really get that out of black female comedians.
So you think it's specific to comedians? Because I don't know on Netflix any. But I can't say for sure.
And history name her.
Well, I would ask what black female comedian has sold out 50 arenas around the world,
Well, what I would
including
tell
MSG?
you is this.
Exactly. What black female has sold out arenas and big venues around the world? Tell me. None I can think of.
4 beautiful black female comedians that we just got a Legends Award. Her name is Samore. Her
Love
name is
Samore.
Adele.
Love
Her
her.
name is Miss Laura. Her name is Monique.
Yeah, and none of them are popping anymore. They might be able to bring a small draw to a white club. They might be able to bring a big draw to a black club. But as far as arenas and doing tours and all that, it's going to be very rare that you see those do it individually. Now, another Queens of Comedy tour, that can definitely work and they can get some money off of that. But individually, nah, they not finna do no arenas.
And when the Queens of Comedy was on tour, see, we made history.
Yeah, and that was 18 years ago. You got to understand, it's a whole generation of adults walking around that never even heard of you.
I don't know if you've done your homework, because we were the only female group, black, white, Latin, Asian, to sell out consecutively around this country. But you'll disregard that because you'll say, well, what did you do yesterday?
See, I don't think he disregarding it. I just think you're disregarding the fact that y'all was local almost 20 years ago. And Amy Schumer was within the last couple of years. Understand that. And she's a single act. Everything you bring up is a group effort.
If you're doing business and you say, what's Monique's resume? Now you're the businessman and you're looking at that resume and everything on that resume says number 1. Everything on that resume says sell out. Now all of a sudden, is it going to change, businessman?
You goddamn right, because the business has changed. It's not about cable. It's not about these corporations anymore. Look at people like Joe Rogan. He's organized all his comedy shit off of a podcast because he got kicked out of the Comedy Store for exposing Carlos Mencia. He wasn't allowed to go back and hone his craft at one of the best comedy clubs. So he had to find another way. He started going to other smaller comedy clubs and he built a podcast. Now he has the #1 podcast and all his shows sell out. You can't claim that. This nigga selling out arenas and everything without no corporate help. He doing it all through a podcast and through a network of fucking friends that he done developed over the years. You need to understand that. See, you didn't push everybody off and burn every fucking bridge you got. That's why you not popping. That's why you can't develop a base. You gonna have to start from the bottom, my nigga.
Well, you're right.
But his resume is amazing.
The difference between Kobe Bryant today and Monique today is when you 36 in the game of basketball, you done lost your step. When you are 50 years old in the game of comedy, you're seasoned.
That's not true, because in basketball, you can have an old-ass bum. But you can also have a nigga like Kobe that's still putting up numbers at the end of his career. But every nigga his age ain't like that. Just like a lot of old comedians that are stuck in the old frame of mind in the old world where y'all don't write new material constantly and constantly do shows to keep your face out there. If you don't do that shit, you gonna end up washed up like Monique is right now.
And if they had to come to Netflix, to your point, because you make a very good point, and Monique had stumbled like a 40-year-old or 38-year-old Kobe Bryant who's got a ruptured Achilles heel that you got to bounce back from, then it would make sense. But if he dropped 50 and still was dropping buckets, what would you say?
Here go this big word using ass nigga again. But what he failed to realize is Monique did those shows in small comedy clubs with 100 to 200 people. And she got standing ovations. But in basketball terms, that's the equivalent of Kobe Bryant probably getting like 2 points, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 2 rebounds. That's really not that impressive, my nigga.
Because they watched 2 standing ovations in 2 sold-out clubs.
Well, you're absolutely right, Brother Sidney. But let me ask you this. Why not put together a theater or arena tour and sell that out and then come back to the table? Our table special yourself.
See, what Charlamagne is explaining right here is 2 ways that the modern comedian is getting money. and especially getting specials on Netflix and things like that. They're going out here, they're doing tours, filling up arenas, filling up big venues, casinos, things like that. And then Netflix is coming to them based off the analytics that they're collecting. Or they're putting out the special themselves, like people like Louis C.K., Dave Smith. It's a lot of fucking comedians out here doing that. And they basically letting the people buy it. And they're also developing analytics for Netflix to be able to look at and say, okay, they're selling this much. We'll give them this much to do a special on our network. That's how the game works now. See, Monique and her husband, they thinking like old niggas think. They basically thinking that a company got to sign you and then they pay you some money and you work for them for a while. Nah, you got to work on your own now. That's how the new game is, the internet. You got to build your own motherfucking following and then they come to you. They don't give you a following for you on their back.
Thing is, as a businessman, being a legend and all that doesn't necessarily matter. It's who the people want to see. You could be a legend and people love you, but if you can't attract the people to come to the place to see you or to come to Netflix to watch you, it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. Envy got a good point.
Here would be the question.
You know what I mean?
Here would be the question.
Mm-hmm.
Almost Christmas. Would you say that was a hit movie?
Definitely a hit movie.
Would you say Bessie was a hit?
Yes.
Would you say Precious was a hit?
Absolutely.
See how she keep flipping back and forth from stand-up comedy to acting? Come on, Monique, my nigga. And none of those 3 movies are starring you. You play a supporting role in each one of them. And in fucking Precious, you play a horrible mother.
So the question is, so Monique, you didn't do nothing in 2017 that was on TV that we could see. So that means you're irrelevant?
Absolutely, yes. You gotta understand, these young niggas don't give a fuck about the old niggas and what they did. We're not listening to none of your fucking content. We're not watching none of your content. Queens of Comedy was fucking 20 years ago. It's dated, my nigga. When you talking about stand-up comedy, what stand-up comedy have we seen? Okay, you have a special on Netflix. Nobody is watching it. You got your own other special you try to put on Amazon. Nobody fucking heard of it. Come on, my nigga, you don't have a fan base. Just stick to your little fucking podcast you doing and try to build you up some fans, do some shows, and do it that way. But this whole little shit where you talking about you had to stay and take care of your family and dealing with Netflix would have took you away from that, that sound like some bullshit, my nigga.
And I have to sit here and not defend, but explain to people that look like me. Mm-hmm. Well, when did I become irrelevant? If there was a movie I'll call Almost Christmas, what, in 2016? This is 2018. So now all of a sudden, oh, we don't know if people are going to show up and show out.
I'm telling you, man, women hate having to explain themselves. Because in order to explain yourself, a lot of the times you got to have personal accountability. And that's one thing women hate to have, man. But when you talk about Almost Christmas, first of all, it was starring like 15 stars. It was an ensemble cast. And it was a seasonal movie. So you can't take credit for that shit.
Now, when I did a show called The Bernie and Sid Show, after 5 minutes of us talking, they shut their show down. And they said, Monique, we're going to call this what this is. This is nothing but racism. And we can't sit back and allow it and watch it happen.
So basically what she's saying is that a white man can identify racism and a whole bunch of black people can't? Come on, my nigga.
Then when I was in San Jose with some of my Latin brothers, they did the same thing. They shut their show down because they said, we got to call it for what it is. See, Monique, we've grown up watching you. We've grown up and you've made us feel better. We've grown up and our children are now watching you.
See, Monique want to keep calling this shit racism, but what she's failing to admit is that she already had a special on Netflix, plus she came out with her own hour in 2016 called Something New, and it ain't did shit. Go look at the reviews. I mean, you got a couple people saying it's good, but you also got a bunch of honest critiques from people that actually paid for the shit. Think about it, my nigga. This is what Netflix based everything off of. What are you currently doing? And of course, they gonna look at a couple of your last hours. And if you using the same jokes from an hour you tried to sell on your own, and they come to see you, of course they might question the credibility of you being able to sell some shit. Come on, my nigga.
Because when you make those type of statements about your sister to our community, what you're saying to the community is, as black women, you're devalued.
See, Monique want to keep calling this shit racism, but what she's failing to admit is that she already had a special on Netflix. Plus, she came out with her own hour in 2016 called Something New, and it ain't did shit. Go look at the reviews. I mean, you got a couple people saying it's good, but you also got a bunch of honest critiques from people that actually paid for the shit. Think about it, my nigga. This is what Netflix based everything off of. What are you currently doing? And of course, they gonna look at a couple of your last hours. And if you using the same jokes from an hour you tried to sell on your own, and they come to see you, of course they might question the credibility of you being able to sell some shit. Come on, my nigga.
And if you stand up and you make a stand and you say, we need equality, and we have to say what's right and what's fair, and then a brother that looks like me from South Carolina says you're the donkey of the day, you have to explain that to our community.
I really disagree with that, because as a grown man, Charlamagne, you ain't got to do a motherfucking thing. You ain't got to explain shit to nobody. And Monique, what the fuck is the black community? Is it a group of black people that are working together and building? Or is it just a bunch of black people scattered all through the country? Stop with this fake ass we're united and we need to come together and organize bullshit, because we not doing it. We not. If all these motherfuckers that's complaining about niggas talking about you, if they would have bought your motherfucking special from 2 years ago, Netflix would have gave you a bigger offer.
Leonard, did you just see Viola Davis come out and say pay her equally? Did you just hear that?
Absolutely.
So,
and just because Viola Davis said it don't mean she right. I mean, Viola Davis ain't taking into account the fact that she's old, she's not hot, she's not attractive, so she's not going to draw people to the box office off her sex appeal. So at the end of the day, she's just going to draw old women, old black women, old white women.
So when you have us saying the same thing, we're saying pay us equally. You're saying, oh, Monique, this is an isolated situation. Well, then what that says is you don't know the history of this business that you're in.
See, it's not that Charlamagne doesn't know the history of the business he in. Monique doesn't know the future of the business she's in. She's doing things in a very antiquated fashion. This bitch thinks that she can get signed by a company and they gonna take care of everything. But nah, this is the new world of the internet, where you gotta do all that shit yourself. And you create your value and you create your price. But it's all about you creating it. It's not about your old accomplishments.
And I want you to look at me. Mm-hmm. I'm a big, fat black woman.
See, when you used to be a big, fat black bitch, that's when you was popping. Because a big, fat black bitch is always a draw, especially to white people. Y'all are hilarious to white people. All that all that attitude, I don't give a fuck. Because basically, in my opinion, it's because y'all can run black men. And white people get a kick out of that shit. See, the thing is, when you a big black bitch, you got the confidence of a big black bitch. Where Monique fucked up is she lost all that goddamn weight and went from a big black confident bitch to a insecure medium-sized bitch. That's the problem. And it reflects in your comedy, my nigga. Go check the tapes and see if you can see what I mean.
We have to explain brothers like you. We do. And when we watched that movie, Birth of a Nation, and we saw that man walk his wife into that master's house, we watched him walk his wife in. Then we watched him go back and get him. You're that brother. I thank y'all for your time, my babies.
Thank you.
The fact that she insulted that man like that and then walked away is a clear sign of insecurity. I think Monique's career might be over. But like I say, she got to start back in the clubs, start touring, start going on the road, and then maybe you'll be able to start writing some new material and become funny. But as is right now, you whack as fuck, my nigga. I mean, even legends fall down. Look what they doing with all these statues around the United States. They getting tore down. I appreciate y'all watching Ghetto Woke. Hop in them comments if you disagree with me, agree with me, and let me know how you feel about the situation. It's on. And don't forget to check out that Nipsey Hussle Victory Lap, that Sugar-Free Smell My Finger, and that Mossberg Nonfiction. Also, go check out that Breakfast Club interview of Monique and watch the full version of it on Revolt TV. But it's on, y'all. Appreciate y'all listening. Thanks.